my name is Laure. I'm 32 years old and I was born in Belgium, raised in France. And I've been living a zero waste lifestyle for the past 3 years. So zero waste focuses on two aspects. The first is to reduce pollution, and the second one is to value any natural resource that we're using, because each and everything we're using comes from natural resources. And the problem is that there's more and more people on Earth and less natural resources. So we want to bring this thing back into balance and give more value to each and everything that we have in our hands, like our parents used to do, our grandparents, our ancestors, and also give more respect to what we have rather than being in like a crazy consumption. Give more respect to scarce natural resources, actually, because before there was no problem, there was abundance of everything and stuff, but now it starts to be problematic now for everything: water, metals, everything.
And why do we have to think about waste?
The first reason why we have to think about waste is that our waste will be treated in two ways. That's for the Western world. So either it's going to end up in an incinerator, means toxic ashes and toxic gases. Even though there is a system of filtration, it's not like fully clean. And the second option is that the waste ends up in a landfill. So a landfill, a scientific landfill as they like to say in the West, is a big pit. They put a membrane of plastic, which hopefully is never going to break, but that's just a supposition. Then you have one layer of waste, eventually one layer of minerals, and then again waste, and so on till it's full. Then they put some soil on it, or they just close it, and then they just move to another spot. So that's the two options for our waste. Here in India it's even worse, because the waste can just end up in big dumps, which is pretty much big piles of waste without any specific management, So it means that everything is mixed. Wet waste, so it's organic waste, and normal waste like plastic, glass, metal, everything, batteries, let's say, or even paint, or I'm just saying. And then together with the organic waste, where there's a lot of water, well, it creates a kind of liquid which is called leachate, and that pollutes or can pollute the groundwater, the soil, etc. So I personally didn't want to be part of this, so that's why I decided to go towards zero waste.
Wow. Yeah. How was your first contact with the zero waste lifestyle?
My very first contact was 4.5 years ago. It didn't start at all with zero waste. I didn't know what zero waste was at that time. I didn't even know actually where my waste was going to. I was supposing that in our modern society the waste was very well managed, somebody was responsible for it, and that was very fine. Big mistake. So what happened is that I was concerned about my deodorant. I had read that in deodorant there's aluminum, which is not good for you, which is not good especially for women, because we have the breast near the armpits, and so I didn't want to put aluminum on my body. So that was my super first step, because I wanted to switch towards an aluminum-free deodorant, which was super hard to find. I spent hours in supermarkets checking the composition of deodorants, and they all had aluminum except one kind. So I was always using this one, but then I came across a few months later an organization in Paris which was focused on on fighting against the presence of endocrine disruptors in our daily products. And then I realized that there are endocrine disruptors all over the place. So an endocrine endocrine disruptor is pretty much a chemical which messes up your hormonal system. So hormonal system means the glands that tell you that you have to go to sleep. There's glands which tell you that you have to eat. There's glands, of course, to reproduct, and so on. So all these glands have very important function in our life. And if they are disrupted, if the functioning of these glands is disrupted, well, then we are in trouble.
Yes.
And of course, these endocrine disruptors can also create cancer, tumors, and so on, any disease. So when I got to know about that, I started with my second step, which was to make my own cosmetics. So through these guys, this organization, I started to make, I learned with them how to make deodorant and toothpaste. Because toothpaste is the same deal. There's a lot of chemicals in it, fluor and so on, which is not good for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I learned how to make that with them, and I learned how to teach to others also.
Amazing. And then everything started.
And then everything started. But it started kind of slowly because I was into a waste reduction process or thinking for about, I'd say, 1.5 years. So for instance, after the deodorant and the toothpaste, I started using a cup instead of pads and tampons and all for
Me too.
menstruations. Yeah. Which I found so great. And plus, it was a friend of mine who was totally not zero waste who told me about it. But I thought, that's a great solution, a sustainable solution. Then I started to use a drinking bottle, and like that, try to make sustainable swaps in my daily life. Yeah, that was the first step. And then when I came to Oroville, I realized that non-recyclables were going in this landfill. That was when I realized that in Oroville, the non-recyclables end up in a pit, in direct contact with the soil, that I didn't want to contribute to that. So EcoService does a great job. They don't put anything that's really chemical or really toxic in there, like batteries and so on. They're really, really careful. I did a week of volunteering with them, so I saw in depth how they're working and what's the mentality and stuff. So that's really great, but still they have to put some waste in the pit, and quite a bit. I don't know how many tons a week or how many kg a week, but it's pretty much. So I didn't want to make part of that. So then I decided now I go fully zero waste. And then I started to read about zero waste, check documentaries, follow people on Instagram, because there's so many zero waste influencers on Instagram which give great information and tips and tricks to reduce the waste. And what I find very interesting is that there's there's tricks for everything in so many different ways. There's many different tricks, which I like because you can explore, like for instance, in the beginning, instead of using shampoo in a bottle, I switched to a shampoo bar to wash my hair. And then I discovered when I came to India that you can also wash your hair with powders. So I discovered chickpea flour, which I
Really?
found so mind-blowing. But apparently in France, or in Europe, they also do it. But I didn't know, and I tried actually pretty recently, and it works fantastic. And then I got to know about shikakai, which is very much used traditionally in India. So now I mix it together, and see, my hair is very clean and very okay. It's not dry. Shikakai smells nice, and it all comes directly from natural things. It's even more natural than a soap bar.
Can you give us a tip how to start this movement?
Yes. So for me, it is theoretically pretty easy to get started. The first thing you do is that you be aware of your waste. You be aware of what is the waste that you have the most, And this one, you try to find a sustainable alternative for it. I give you one example for a drinking bottle. Instead of using plastic bottles, use just a glass bottle or a metal bottle or a copper bottle. For cottons, you can go to washable cottons. What else is there? For straws, you can either drink directly on the coconut or you can use a steel straw,
Yes.
like that. And that's my first tip. But my second tip would be to go gradually, very gradually, because it's a big change in one's life. So you have to go gradually. Going too fast is not a good idea. Eventually you would be discouraged, frustrated and stuff. So it's better to, focus one by one on something to swap. And then after maybe even 1 or 2 years, you will be done with your transition. But the transition is the biggest part of the work. Once you're used to it, like I am now, well, it's easy because I know the things, and eventually the new things which I use or try, it's just for experimenting. Experimenting. So it's for fun, or it's for a change, or there's no big. It's not pressure, but
Yes.
there's no big deal. I mean, I'm not in a hurry to find something new. It's experimenting, whereas yeah, when you swapping, sometimes it's difficult. I mean, for instance, I know someone who's been trying to find a proper shampoo for her hair, and she just can't manage to find any shampoo that matches for her type of hair. So sometimes it's a little difficult. So that's why I think you have to be persistent.
Yes.
How I succeeded was that I was very persistent and disciplined. I just didn't want to have anything non-recyclable in my hands, which I don't know what to do with. So there's a few principles which I suppose we'll talk after about zero waste. There's 5 principles to follow in order.
You can tell now.
Yeah. So the first one, I tell you the 5: refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and compost. And so refusing is super important because that's how you get rid of a lot of waste. You refuse the straws, you can refuse plastic bottles, plastic bags, of course, most important, and so on. And the thing is, we think socially that saying no is rude, but it's absolutely not rude, because its first use is being a protection. You can't say yes to everything just for the sake of being polite. And also, I think you can say no in a polite way. First of all, you can explain what you're doing, why you're doing it, and that's the best way to me to inspire and spread awareness around you. So that's why I actually like to refuse, because it's an opportunity for me to create change in people's minds. So that's refuse. Then you reduce. So you refuse whatever you don't need or whatever you don't want. First of all, you refuse. Second, you reduce. So you reduce whatever you have. So for instance, you have so many clothes, so you want to reduce to whatever you really need. Same, for instance, in the kitchen, because we have so many things which we don't use so much. And also, whatever we have, one day it will turn into waste. So it's very important also to mind what kind of materials you're using. For instance, you buy a new spoon for cooking, instead of buying it in plastic, which is going to be waste one day, you can either buy it in wood, then you can compost it, or you can buy it in steel, then most probably it's going to last forever, and you can even give it to your grandchildren, like that. So reducing is also very important, and so that's the second step. Then comes reusing. So you want to reuse also what you have. so you reuse, for instance, jars. All the glass jars which I have at home to put all my package-free items which I buy, I put them in a glass jar. You can reuse cloth bags to buy package-free. So many things which you don't need anymore, and turn them into something creative. So that's how you can eventually upcycle. For instance, this bag is upcycled.
Oh, so nice.
These are old Indian saris and have been put together into a bag. So that's how you reuse. Reusing means also to buy as much as possible second-hand, because you reuse from someone else. Plus, there is no waste when you buy second-hand. So I personally buy my clothes second-hand. For instance, this one I got from the free store, so that was for free. My shorts, I bought them in a vintage shop, so also I bought it for so much less. For instance, this is for my glasses, and I just got it from my dad. It's not the nicest, but it's just functional, so I don't mind so much. The phone and all technology is also important to buy second-hand, because that pollutes a lot. It has a lot of more and more scarce natural resources in it, and more phones are available on the planet. So my iPad, my phone, my computer are all second-hand. And what else? This, for instance, is my purse for my keys. That's from my grandmother.
Wow, amazing.
So on top of reusing from someone else, sometimes it has like an emotional value, you know, because my grandma's not there anymore, but somehow she's still there every day. So like that. One thing I didn't say about reducing, which is quite important, is to reduce the waste, but also to reuse. You can also repair.
Yeah.
Repairing is also very important, because this culture of repairing is quite lost, especially in modern societies. In India, fortunately, it's still there, so you can find your way. But I know in Europe it's kind of difficult, but also kind of coming back, because people realize that it's important to repair your things. They don't want to have objects which perish so fast anymore. So there's a kind of movement for that, which is pretty good, I find. Yeah, that's it. So first principle is refuse, second is reduce, the third is reuse, and the fourth, and only the fourth, is recycle. So after refusing, reducing and reusing, then only you wanna recycle. It's important to follow these principles in the right order. So recycling is an option, but it shouldn't be the focus. Because not everything, first of all, is recyclable. Not everything is recyclable forever, especially plastic. Metal, glass is recyclable forever, but even paper is not recyclable forever. And plastic and paper usually have to be mixed with some what they call virgin pulp. So it's not like a real recycling. Recycling requires a lot of energy. And what else? Yeah, well, that's already enough. So, and we don't know also if our waste is gonna get really recycled. You never know. Maybe it's not gonna be compliant with the industry, and they finally find this is not recyclable, or it's not suitable for recycling. Maybe it's not clean enough, because waste has to be clean to be recycled, and so on. And that's also why it's so energy consuming, because you need water to wash the waste before you can recycle it. So that's why you don't want to focus on recycling, but you want to use it as an option, and like a secondary option, to kind of save you if you were in trouble, or if you can't find food package free, for instance. Then that's how I do. But also anything which I regularly buy in a recyclable packaging which I see that I often have, I try to reduce that recyclable waste and to get it in a package-free option. And what I really like about buying package-free is that you can get many things, for instance, at the market. And markets, I mean, I really love that because it's all local stuff. It's a very nice experience because the sellers are so nice and very joyful and all. So I've always liked very much to go to markets, but anywhere, because even when you're traveling, you want to keep on going zero waste or being zero waste. So then you get much more in contact with local culture rather than if you were going into a supermarket. Supermarkets, that's also a good advice. Avoid supermarkets if you want to go zero waste. At least go to an organic shop or to the market. For me, the market is just the best option, local market.
Yes.
And so the last principle of the zero waste philosophy is to compost, because we have like solid waste, but we also have organic waste, organic wet waste. And so instead of kind of wasting it by just leaving it decomposing in nature, well, we want to give it another value and turn it into compost. Then it's going to be used as a fertilizer, and like that you close the loop. Like that there is no waste anymore. So that's the theory. So of course you will end up with at least a little bit of non-recyclables. So I brought my little jar. So this
Yes.
is
What is this?
so this is my waste from early January till June 30th.
Wow.
So this is 6 months of waste.
Can
So-
you show closer?
Yeah. So first of all, there's a charger. So this charger I'm gonna use in my garden, so that something can creep on it.
Yeah.
And then I have like small little plastic things. This is from a cap. I have also 2 or 3 chips packets. I have here, it's from the noodles, seasoning from the noodles. Because of course I'm pretty strict with myself, but exceptions happen, no? So because noodles, how you want to find noodles package free? And then there is also quite a bit of tape. And then there is also this baking paper,
Ah, yes.
which is from the cheese in Oroville. So having this, I realized that the waste that was continuously coming back is this baking paper from the cheese and also the chips packets. Plus the chips packets, they take quite some space in my jar. So I decided to go to the unit or the factory of the cheese and to buy in bulk. So for instance, last week I went and I bought 1 kg of cheese, but at least cheese you can keep it for a long time. And now I have no plastic at all. I bought it in my big jar, and it's cheaper because I didn't buy the packaging. So like that. And then for the chips, my option now is to make them myself, and they are so tasty because also this is industrial chips which I bought.
Yeah. Yeah.
So industrial food is never good for you, full of salt, full of additives and so on, which is not so good. There is plastic, which I also don't want. So it's better to make yourself. And so now I make it with organic tapioca in organic coconut oil. So it's much better.
So good. I
Yeah.
want to try it.
Well, it's time consuming, but the thing is, if you are convinced by your choices, things become a matter of choice. Like, what do you prefer? You prefer to save money or you prefer to save your health? So that's actually these are actually the big benefits in a zero waste lifestyle, is that it is good for your health because you buy more package free, so it's less costly, so you have enough money eventually to buy organic organic food. You make it yourself, so less industrial food in your life, which is also so much better for your health and also cheaper.
Yes.
So a zero waste lifestyle, according to B. Johnson, which is the kind of guru of zero waste. Well, she's in the States, but still, she has written a book, and in the book she says that you make 40% savings when you're living a zero waste lifestyle, which is huge, no?
Yeah.
You're just saving a lot, but it's obvious because you buy package free, you buy second hand. Second hand is always so much cheaper. Or eventually you get things from a free store, or you get them from a friend, or you swap them. So you save a lot of money, then you save the planet, and you become actually so much more happy. Because first of all, you feel useful for the planet. So you're satisfied by your actions. So yeah, you just it's just generally so much better, so much more healthy for the body and also for the mind.
Wow. Thank you so much. Hey guys, thank you for watching, and please share, like, comment, and I feel very grateful to be here with Lode. And yeah, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I would say you can just get started. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, you can find me on Eco Lorette on Instagram.